Stop hoping for your business to grow and start mastering the formula for success that every entrepreneur needs to grow their business. Join us for 5+1 Mastery, where every week we go in depth on how to grow your business the right way. Learn more at 5+1mastery.com.
Multiple streams of income is a tool of the rich. It's not a tool to get rich. And what that saying means at its core is to stay focused and keep the main thing until the main thing is making you enough money.
I'm your host, Chaz Wilson. I bring you successful entrepreneurs, add valuable wisdom to your journey, and help you succeed. Welcome to Connect, Share, and Prosper.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Connect, Share, Prosper. I think we're in the episodes, almost 140 episodes. Believe it or not, here we are today. I'm your host, Chaz Wilson. I'm excited today for my guest. I'm going to introduce my guest right now. The one, the only Devon Brown, who is a professional event MC, internet entrepreneur, speaker, former hip-hop dancer, which we're going to have to dive into that a little bit to understand that. And just a general student of life. His teaching style is not only power-packed and filled with laughter, but also contains simple, practical, and fun illustrations that virtually any entrepreneurial-minded person can use to accelerate their success quickly. His goal is to give you practical insight to simplify the process of creating life on your terms in a fun and entertaining way. He was once referred to as what would happen if you combined MC Hammer with Tony Robbins. Devon is most at home on stage, educating audiences. Welcome, Devon Brown, to the show.
Chaz, so great to be here. Thank you for having me.
So MC Hammer and Tony Robbins, that's quite the combo. Who deemed that phrase? I'm just curious.
So two things happened. The first thing that happened was way back in 2005, I was listening to a personal development CD. And I'm in my car listening to it. And the gentleman who's on the CD, he says, I'll make you a deal. I'll deposit $10 million a year into your bank account on January 1st of every year. But the catch is that you have to spend a minimum of 60 hours a week doing something that you absolutely love, that you do as naturally as a fish swims in water, and that feels your heart and that you would do for free. He says, quick, don't think about it, just answer. And the answer that blurted out while I was in my car was MC Hammer meets Tony Robbins. And
so good.
Yeah, so my heart said that, and then my mind chimed in, my brain chimed in and was like, Devon, that's a really stupid thing. Nobody's going to pay you for that. Be realistic.
Yeah.
Several years later, I'm emceeing an event, and I had to kill some time. And I end up dancing hip-hop with the audience. It's the first time I'd ever danced hip-hop with an audience before. And I parlayed that hip-hop dance thing I did with the audience into a personal development lesson. Yes. And somebody was like, holy crap, you're like Michael Jackson and Tony Robbins. And I was like, well, I'm going to pretend you said MC Hammer. So yeah.
That's so good. So I love it. There are a couple of things I want to talk about the emceeing as part of it, but there's also another side of what you do that a lot of people don't get to see. We're going to get there, but I just want to talk about how you and I met. So I was at an event. I saw you MC the event. We had an event upcoming several months later, and I remember when I was there, I messaged my team because that's one of the things that a lot of events struggle with is trying to find a good MC. I mean, there's just not a lot, at least in my searching, there's just not a lot of good MCs for events. And so I saw you MC this event and I messaged my team. I was like, you guys, seriously, he's got energy. He's funny most of the time. He can dance. He's on stage. He's got the audience. Like and I could tell, just having done events, been on stage speaking, I could tell as well. There's a little skill that you have that I don't know that a lot of people pick up on, but like I understood there were times where they probably said, you got 5 minutes, you got to fill this thing. And you were kind of like, good, I went to my bag of tricks, I've got it. And I could just see that skill in you. And so I messaged my team, I'm like, I got our guy. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. And fortunately, we were blessed you came. And so a lot of people watching this will recognize you, man. And you blessed our event. I'm curious, how'd you get into the MC world? And how'd you get that opportunity?
That's a great question. So what actually happened was back in 2005, again, around the same time I'm listening to this CD, and I was working for another internet marketer, a guy by the name of Matt Basak. Some people may know, some people may not know him. So I'm doing phone sales for him, and I've been working for him for about 3 months. And he comes into my cubicle and he was like, "Hey, Devon, do you know the book Chicken Soup for the Soul?" And I'm like, "Yeah, who doesn't know that book?" He's like, "Yeah, well, that's Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen. And Mark Victor Hansen has these events that he does like 3-4 times a year." And he's like, "I'm going to go to this event, and we're going to set up a booth outside of the event, and we're going to be one of the vendors so that when people come outside of the main seminar room, we can sell them our products and services and our classes and whatever we do and teach." He says, "Do you want to come and run the booth?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, absolutely. Count me in. That would be so fun." And so, again, I'd only been working for him for about 3 months, and we're at the event. It's a 3-day event. Second day of the event, this woman comes up to me and she says, "Excuse me, young man, are you with Matt?" And I'm like, "Yes." She says, "Well, great. Can you call him? Mark Victor Hansen's about to call him on stage. Can you get him here?" And I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah.
So call, text, nothing. This is like, again, 05, so it's not like cell phones are as they are now.
Yeah, right.
So anyway, long story short, this woman who it turns out was Mark Victor Hansen's assistant, she says to me, she says, "Where's Matt?" And I'm like, "I don't know, lady." She says, "Mark Victor Hansen's about to call him on stage." I said, "I don't know what you want me to do." She says, "Well, do you know his elevator pitch?" And I said, "Woman, what is an elevator pitch?" And I was 25, 26 years old. I didn't know. And she was like, "Get on stage." I was like, "Okay." And I ran on stage.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, sure thing.
Yeah.
And I ran on stage, and I don't know what I said, but I crushed it. And Matt found out about it, and found out that the audience enjoyed me, and said, "Devon, every time we do an event, you're going to host it. You're going to MC it."
So did you ever find out where Matt was? I've heard you tell that story. Oh, he's at lunch.
He's at lunch. He was at lunch with a business friend and had his phone on silent.
Yeah, like a good person would do when they're at lunch, focused on the person.
Yeah,
solid. I love that. So you get this opportunity, you start hosting events, and probably what happened, I would imagine, please share, I'm curious, because I think this is where those listening understand the power of networking and the size of your network and referral marketing. I imagine somebody in an audience saw you and said, "Oh, you just like I did, right? Come to this event," and that, because I mean, I don't know. Do you market yourself as an MC, or does it just sort of
all natural? In 2019, pre-COVID, I did 19 events, all word of mouth, and the only reason I didn't do more was because A, I needed to sleep, and B, some of the events overlapped date-wise. But what happened was, a guy by the name of in like 07, I ended up at we used to do, I don't know, 5-6 internal events, decent sized events a year. And one of the events, I introduced a guy on the stage by the name of Russell Brunson. This was like 2007. So I introduced Russell, and Russell loved it and actually kept my intro for him and used it in one of his sales videos. And then I didn't think much of it because the goal was never to be an MC. I didn't realize at the time, it didn't click in my brain that being an event MC could be that MC Hammer meets Tony Robbins thing. My heart wanted to do it. Just didn't register in my brain.
It came full circle.
Yeah. And then what happened was, in like several years later, and I was only doing it once, twice a year for friends. And I think around 2014 or 15, whenever the very first Funnel Hacking Live was, Russell Brunson calls me up and he says, "Hey, Devon, what are you doing next week?" And I'm like, "Nothing." He was like, "I got 600 people coming to Vegas. I forgot to hire an MC. Do you still do it?" And I'm like, "Well," he's like, "I'll pay for everything and you can race Ferraris with us." I was like, "Well, you got your guy."
It's awesome.
It took off. Yeah.
I mean, racing Ferraris, that's kind of a cool, like, that's the thing I love about Russell is, like, he's going to find a way. He's going to find what, like, oh, sweet, Ferraris, let's go.
Cool, let's do it.
Yeah. And that's also an interesting dynamic for those listening is, we talk about the power of relationships and how one single relationship can make a change and an impact and change your future. And here was, and I'm not saying he was completely that for you, but it was a big stage that got you in front of a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Same with the one with Mark Victor Hansen. Like each of those, there's these stages in life where you say yes and you get these opportunities, and then all of a sudden it can lead to all these other things. And I think that's a key, is saying yes to that.
Correct. Exactly.
And then of course, last year, we were so bummed, as many people were, our event, we couldn't, pull off this year, and we're looking at next year already. And what's cool for us is this will be our 10-year anniversary. So we're planning all kinds of cool, amazing things for this event. But, you came to our event last year and was absolutely a blast. People still talk about, because it's a game changer in the event space when you have a powerful MC who keeps that energy, really runs the show and keeps it fluid and moving. It's hard to run the event and be the MC. It's like,
correct.
So difficult. Mm-hmm. Well, I want to transition because I really want to get to this piece. So I love the fact that you've got this, and again, pre-COVID, 19 events. That's a lot. Like, people don't understand. That's a lot of events.
A lot of events. The average event is 3 days as well. So it's a day on the front end travel, day on the back end travel minimum. So yeah.
I mean, how do you, first of all, I guess, let me ask this question before we jump to the other. Like, your preparation, I watched you, I've watched speakers, the way I prepare, and I've learned different things from different speakers and different events. But like, you really are there working. And I think you make it look so natural, which is where, like you said, like a fish in water when it's your thing. But how much practice, effort, skill set, like, what have you had to do to prepare to make this thing come out to where this product looks like you're just, I mean, on stage it looks like that, but I know what you're doing behind the scenes.
Behind stage, exactly. Yeah. So the first thing is, it starts, and I think this is just a good tip business wise. The first thing is, I'm blessed because I know what it's like to be on the event promoters and on your end of things, right? For your event, I've been to enough events, and I've been involved with enough events, and I own my own company. Aside from emceeing, right? I actually am an entrepreneur outside of emceeing. And so I know what it's like to be the boss, and what I'm looking for in people who I hire or who I outsource to, or who I, bring in for something. So the first thing that I do is that when I come into an event is I ask myself, how can I give the most amount of value to whoever's event I'm doing? And the first thing I know I can do is I can actually take it seriously and study, and not just wing it. And when I'm working on my notes, and when I'm working on what I'm going to say on stage, or how I'm going to introduce somebody, I can do it from the perspective of, this one event is make or break, and I've got to give as much value as I can to make it. And if I treat everything like that, if I treat every event like that, regardless of size, regardless of name recognition, and if I treat every event the same with the same amount of seriousness, then coming with that mentality of wanting to just give value is probably the most important thing. But the second thing just comes with repetition, and an understanding that audiences, regardless of, and this isn't just audiences that I'm on stage in front of, or that you're on stage in front of, this is just people in general. People in general are the same.
Yeah.
Whether I'm at an event, on one end of the spectrum, I do an event where it's all women who are on this weight loss journey together, and they're like this giant sorority, and the average age is probably around 30-ish, and there's a DJ and there's dancing before I even get in the room and on stage. The other, it's a fun one. Yeah. And on the other end of the spectrum, I do like an event. I've done an event where it's like, 30 people and all dentists who are like, 65, 70-year-old dentists.
Yeah.
And those events are two ends of the spectrum. But regardless, the truth of the matter is that both of those events, the people at both of those events came to learn and to grow, and to, whether they meant to or not, have a good time. Yeah. And so my job is to just determine how can I give that to them in a way that they're going to be responsive to. And so if you're listening to me right now, or you're watching this, or however you're consuming this content, my suggestion is that whatever your audience is, determine how you can add value the way they want to add value. Because the way I add value on a stage of 700 30-year-old women who are shaking their booties is by shaking my booty. Right. And the way I add value at an event of dentists who are mostly guys who are 70 years old is not shaking my booty. That's not what they want. Right. But by stretching them a little outside of their comfort zone, or making them high five their neighbor or something like that.
So let me just touch on that. This is where I think, by the way, this is, I hope it comes across this way, is huge compliment your way. Because I have seen I think I don't remember if it was before we had you or after. I think it was, we were doing a little bit of research. I was showing my team, like, here's some video I took at Funnel Hacking Live of Devon, but here's some other events I found on YouTube or something that you did. And I think the thing that's fascinating to me, it's a great skill set that I think all entrepreneurs need to learn. And that's knowing your audience, as you just said, because every time I've watched you at an event, I'm like, man, he's part of that tribe.
Right.
Like you feel like I've seen people who go to events and they try to speak the lingo, and they, like, you can just tell, well, that's just that guy from that event that they put on stage at this event. No. Like, you are part of every tribe that you're with. At least that feels that way from the audience. So it's a huge kudos to you, because that takes a lot of work to do. Like, you gotta be with that group. As you said, whether it's shaking your booty on stage or high-fiving. And
exactly.
Now, you mentioned an internet business, and this is what I also find fascinating about I don't know the right word, maybe, and I don't think we didn't get a lot of opportunity in our event to hear about this, because, you're emceeing, and I get all that. So tell us a little bit about your internet business, internet marketing business, and the journey of that, and what it is and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So the short answer is, what I do is I teach people affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing is simply selling other people's products and services. And in my opinion, it's the easiest way for people to start an internet business, because you don't have to create your own product, and you can just sell other people's stuff and get paid from that. I started as an entrepreneur. I started my entrepreneurial journey when I was like 14, 15. But really when I was about 2021, I just finished college, and a buddy of mine comes to me and he says, Devon, guess what? Did you know that more millionaires have been made in real estate than anything else? Let's go take this $4,000 real estate investing course. And I was like, okay. And I put $4,000 on my credit card that I shouldn't have had a credit card with that kind of limit, because I was 21 years old. And long story short, I was a real estate investor for about 3 days. And that was the end of that journey. But like most entrepreneurs, what I did, and it was that I determined that I was going to figure out how to make money from home, make money on my own. And I ended up jumping from opportunity to opportunity, from business to business, from idea to idea. I ended up filing for bankruptcy when I was 23 years old.
Wow.
And it wasn't until, so I started my entrepreneurial journey in 2001. It wasn't until about 2009 that I finally, quote unquote, cracked the code and was able to make money online.
Wow. So where most people, by the way, there's probably a lot of people that went to that 3-day, $4,000 summit that were done 3 days later. Like,
correct.
That's a lot of people. But I think what's fascinating, Devon, is that a lot of people, there must have been something there that you said, okay, look, I know this works. Even though it's not working for me right now, I know this works, right? You had to have seen a commitment there of some level of results that you were willing to stick with it through that time before you start. I mean, that's a long time. A lot of people give up and do that. So you do that. So just explain a little bit more. I mean, I'm familiar with affiliate marketing, and you said it's selling other people's product, but how does that work? Like, where does somebody start? What do they do if they go, I want to do affiliate marketing?
Right. So a couple of things that you touched on. The first thing you mentioned was sticking with it for so long and not giving up. Yeah. So a little bit of that was, some of that is just the fact that entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs, and we just are, and that just is what it is. And other parts of that were a little bit of ego, to sit there and say, look at this person. I know they're not better than me. I know they're not smarter than me. And if they can do it, I can sure as hell do it. That's that drive. That's that drive to say, I was like, I graduated college when I was 20 years old. I can sure as heck figure this out. And that was a little ego, which was good from a never give up perspective, but bad from a, I didn't want to listen to anybody else perspective, and I should have humbled myself a little bit. But so
I get that balance. I get it. That's what a lot of entrepreneurs are. It's like that stubbornness to never give up, and that stubbornness to never give up.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So, but the way I got into affiliate marketing, I actually did a lot of network marketing. I actually started off in a lot of MLMs, which is in a way affiliate marketing, is just trying to get other people to buy something that you didn't create. But what I learned, and then the broad thing to understand about affiliate marketing and about selling other people's products is this. It's that and this is applicable across all industries, it's the person who controls the audience or the eyeballs is the person who has the leverage and can achieve success, right? And so in affiliate marketing, what we teach is, number one, choose a niche or a niche market. Choose an area of interest, preferably one that you're interested in. Number two, for the sake of gross oversimplification, build an audience of people who are interested in said niche. And then number three, once you've got the audience and that audience knows you and likes you and trusts you, you can offer them products having to do with that niche, and they'll very often buy. And so that simple idea is one that actually took me years to really come to grips and understand, because I was just like, buy this, buy X, buy Y, buy Z. And finally somebody was like, Devon, it's about, especially today, the most valuable asset that we have today is attention. Right?
Yes.
That's the one thing that we all, no matter what
So
your
true.
business is, you need attention, you need eyeballs, you need to be able to capture somebody's attention and direct it somewhere. And so what we do and what I teach is basically, hey, here's how you capture attention and then go promote other people's stuff. And here's how you find the other stuff to promote and all that kind of stuff.
So, okay. So I just want to dive deeper into this as I'm thinking about those who are listening today, because I think somebody listening today is that's great. I don't know, said business over here.
Right.
I don't plan to be an internet marketer, an affiliate marketer, but in my opinion, I'm curious your thoughts. I think that there could be missed opportunities there, because said business over here, you still have an audience, you still have those eyeballs, or as we deem, a network of people. You have a network of people who there may be a parallel product or service or a complementary product or service, right? So you've sort of identified your niche by the business you're in.
Correct.
There could be opportunities, right? Are they missing something by not looking at that?
Yeah, I think they are. So one of the things that we have to do is we have to the further we get along in business, and the further we get along just on this time scale of the way business and the internet and just work in general, we have to come up with and be thinking about new ways of doing things, right? So let's say, for example, that you're a plumber, right? That's a traditional business that doesn't necessarily, quote unquote, have to be on the internet, that is technically outside of. But to your point, my first question is, who are the people who have your audience? Did you clearly define that audience? And so say, for example, if you're thinking of this from an outside the box perspective, maybe your audience, I'm spitballing here. And I know nothing about plumbing.
Let's go with it. Let's
just roll with it. So off the top of my head, I'm like, how can I develop an audience of people who can know me, like me, and trust me, who can give me a lot of business and even buy ancillary stuff that I didn't create? Who might be a good audience? And off the top of my head, not knowing anything about plumbing, I'm thinking to myself, rehabbers. Maybe I can find a bunch of people in the real estate investing niche who are rehabbers, and then give them tips and advice and help and value about, hey, if you're rehabbing this home, here's some plumbing tips for you. And then when they decide that they don't want to do it themselves, or they have a friend who's in their industry or something like that, I'm going to be the first one that they get referred to, right? So this idea of having an audience and giving that audience value and being able to direct the eyeballs of that audience. And then furthermore, I can sit there and say, hey, rehabbers, I know I usually teach you plumbing stuff, but here's my buddy Mike, and Mike does roofing stuff. And then I can give business to Mike, and who knows, Mike might kick me back 10% if he does a new roof on a house. And I'm making up numbers, I don't know anything about real estate, but let's say that roof on that house cost, $15,000 or something like that. I don't know how much it costs, right? No, and Mike kicks me back $1,500 for just making the connection. That's affiliate marketing. So that it's funny you use the plumbing example. One of our regional partners and who's been to Connect a few times, and Roger Wakefield. I mean, he's done that from the plumbing mindset. He realized a couple of years ago, if I could get the eyeballs. So what he started doing is he started doing it on YouTube. He just yesterday surpassed 200,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel for plumbing. And now he's getting people coming to him because he controls the eyeballs. And so people are going, hey, could I run a commercial on your
your channel,
Mm-hmm.
and, and he's getting these contracts for affiliate marketing
Bingo.
coming to him.
Bingo.
Just going, hey, because he's controlled the eyeballs.
I tell you, one of the biggest things that you can do if you're an expert in anything, and most entrepreneurs are experts at whatever the heck they're entrepreneurs at, is just give value. That YouTube channel is a perfect example, right? Sharing your expertise and giving value to people is probably the single smartest thing you can do. There's a book. If you haven't read it and you're listening to my voice right now, I highly recommend it. It's called The Go-Giver. Gogiver, by a guy named Bob Berg. And the book is based on the old Zig Ziglar premise that you can get everything you want out of life just by helping enough other people get what they want. One of the my top 5 book recommendations. Again, it's called The Go-Giver. And what you just gave an example of was somebody sitting there saying, hey, I have this expertise plumbing. I'm just going to post free plumbing videos on YouTube. I'm going to do a little bit to SEO them to make it so that when somebody searches for something, that my video is one of the ones that comes up. I'm going to give as much value as I can. I'm going to tell this audience what to do to stay in touch with me or to stay notified from me or by me. And by just putting myself out there and giving value to this audience, now I control these eyeballs and I can direct these eyeballs wherever I want, or other people will pay me for access to these eyeballs. And now you're making money as a plumber, not even going on site and doing any plumbing.
That's it. That's huge. I mean, you said it, I think even before we started recording, you were talking about how, because of COVID, again, pre-COVID, you did 19 events emceeing, but obviously this year you've done some virtual events, but nowhere near the number of events. Right. And so, but if it wasn't for the affiliate marketing, the internet marketing, and the things you're doing, right, that's a healthy, sustainable business that's supporting you. And so if you're a plumber and things get tight or things aren't working, but you've got these other sources of revenue, those are important things. So people listening today going, yeah, not for me, I think are really, 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 that's 3 reallys, by the way, missing the boat. I'll throw an example I heard recently of some people that own it's like a dog kennel, but it's more like a retreat. It's like this beautiful property, the dogs and all. And so they had been at one of our events, and later they came back to me and said, hey, I got this idea. You were talking about this kind of affiliate thing. They had a certain kind of dog food that they were getting people to agree to when people came, feed the dogs. Well, people were going, hey, your dog really loved that food. It's, this kind of thing. Yep. And they got these people on these subscriptions for the dog food.
Yep. After
they came to the retreat. And I'm like, man, what a genius idea. And so they're turning these dogs, and now all of a sudden, it's taken a year or so, but they've got a good little amount of money coming in off this dog food subscription that they're just passing along every time someone comes through.
Yeah, the key to this is there's a saying that I love that I didn't invent, and I forget who said it. They say multiple streams of income, and I need you to hear me on this, and then I'm going to kind of tell you what it is and then tell you why it's right and tell you why it's wrong. But the saying goes like this. Multiple streams of income is a tool of the rich. It's not a tool to get rich. And what that saying means at its core is to stay focused and keep the main thing until the main thing is making you enough money that you can then take your attention and give it a little bit elsewhere, right? So don't start a real estate investing company and a dog training company and a gumball machine route and an internet marketing business. That's not what I'm telling you to do. What I'm telling you is this, is that there are ways for you to keep the main thing and simultaneously create multiple streams of income inside that main thing without diverting. So that dog example was perfect. So you keep the main thing in you growing your dog retreat business. And then when somebody comes to drop their dog off, oh, by the way, check out this dog food. And now that dog food is a secondary stream of income.
Correct.
Right? But it's not detracting from the main thing. And so if I give you the example of being a plumber and if we talk about being a plumber and starting a YouTube channel, you putting YouTube videos up is going to possibly get you business to anybody who's local to you. So you're keeping the main thing. However, You putting up YouTube videos also gives you a nationwide, if not multi-nationwide audience. And those people who are 10 states away, who are never going to hire you, because they watch you, now some third party might pay to get in front of that audience, but you're still keeping the main thing. And now when COVID hits and nobody's getting plumbers anymore or something, I don't know, maybe your business exploded during COVID, but whatever.
Right.
You still have that alternate stream of income.
So powerful. So often I teach it, I call it the 3-foot rule, meaning the main thing you just referenced, by the way, I love that quote. You should just take it. It's Devon Brown, right? Because somebody told me one time, he said, you know how you get a quote to be yours? I'm like, no. He goes, the first thing you do is I would say, hey, my friend Devon said. Mm-hmm. Then the next time I would say, I've once heard this statement. And then the third time you just go, you know what I always say? I always say a multiple and then it just becomes your quote, right? I think that's how all quotes become. So this one I'm giving you credit for. This is your quote. I think the thing is, I call it the 3-foot rule, meaning keeping the main thing. And if I can touch it within 3 feet of what I'm doing every day, then okay, we can play. We can look at it as an opportunity. But I think to your point, when it's not your main thing and it diverts you over here, you've now the main thing. It's now become a distraction because you've taken your eyes off of the thing that's your main thing. So, absolutely love that, Devon. If people want to learn more, because honestly, this topic I could spend hours discussing with you, and I know neither of us have that set aside. But I think it's really important that entrepreneurs miss this. So, if somebody wanted to reach out, connect with you, learn more about affiliate marketing, how do they discover you? How do they find you? Where should I send them?
That's a great question. So here's what I would say to this particular audience, and I know your audience a little bit. First and foremost, if you just want more information on me, go to devonbrown.com. DEVON, Devon, not Devon. DEVONBROWN, like the color, devonbrown.com. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is that the way I teach affiliate marketing and the tools that I give people to do it would, if you have a brick and mortar business, right? If you're part of Master Networks, there's a good chance that what I do and what I teach would distract from you keeping the main thing. So what I'm going to suggest you do is that if you're listening to my voice right now, that you keep plugging into Chaz and you keep plugging into everything that he's doing and that his team are doing, because he understands what I'm talking about, but more applicable to you, right? Because if you come and look for me and my information on affiliate marketing, I have you doing something that has nothing to do with the main thing that you're doing. So if you're a plumber or if you own a dog kennel business, then stay away from me. Be complete. Unless you're having a national plumbers convention and you want somebody to come hype it up, then maybe we can chat.
Then reach out to Devon. No, I love that. I mean, I get entirely where you're at, because it is a very niche thing that you teach within the affiliate marketing and the internet marketing. But people, you can find more about Devon at devonbrown.com. Love that, man. This time went super fast. At least in my opinion, it went really fast. Really appreciate the insight today. I think you've got our audience thinking about some things. So let's wrap with this. Again, there's a, and I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit, but there's this, there's people right now, you said, hey, I was sort of this ego thing that kept me plugged in from 2001 to, I think you said 2009, when you started making money in internet marketing. There is just, with COVID, certain businesses within our network who have just been really devastated. Really impacted. In fact, some of our chapters have been, because they meet in restaurants and restaurants won't let them meet. So we've gone virtual. We're doing all this stuff. What advice would you give to an entrepreneur just in general right now that sort of maybe is similar to what you were looking at in 2001 all the way up to 2009? But what would you tell people to sort of help them continue to focus on the things that matter, that move the needle, et cetera? What would just generally your advice be to an entrepreneur right now?
So a few things, and that's an absolutely wonderful question. So the first thing is that I accept the things that I cannot control. You can't control the fact that there's a worldwide pandemic. That is not in your realm of things that you can control, just factually speaking, right? I cannot control that events went away and I went from 100 to 0 real quick with regard to events. What can you control? What you can control is your response to things, right? What you can do is the first piece of advice I would give you is this. Once you've come to peace in the terms of, hey, there's certain things I can't control, then you sit there and you say, who is doing something in such a way who is getting the result I want? Who is doing something similar to me and who is getting the result I want? Can I go mimic that? The truth of the matter is, and this is the great thing I think we all understand as entrepreneurs, hopefully we do, and if you don't, you need to understand it. There is always a solution for what it is that you want to accomplish. And sometimes the solution doesn't look the way you think it's going to look, and sometimes the solution is going to involve you thinking way outside of your box or your comfort zone. But the fact of the matter is, and where I start from, is I start from the idea that there is always a solution to what I'm looking for. Let me give you a quick example. I don't know how to do anything on the computer. I can't code. I can't write code. I'm not technical. People are like, you do internet marketing? I'm in IT. I'm like, I don't know what IT is. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
But I came up with this idea for this website back in like 2010. And I was like, I want this website built, but I didn't have a lot of money, or like 07, excuse me. And I didn't have a lot of money. But what I knew for a fact, and Tony Robbins likes to say, it's never about a lack of resources. It's just about having a lack of resourcefulness. And your problem is not resources, it's resourcefulness. And so I was resourceful. And I said, okay, I need this website built. And this particular website's going to cost me about 10 grand. I don't have 10 grand. How much do you have, Devon? I got 2 grand. Okay. I put an ad on Craigslist that said, wanted a PHP programmer who can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I'll give you $1,000 up front, $1,000 when you're done, and I'll give you 10% of everything we make. That guy now owns 25% of my company.
Wow.
So because what I did was I said, here's his problem, right? For me, the problem was I need a website built that does a bunch of fancy coding stuff, and I don't know how to code. And I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to go to, I'm not, it's not my jam.
Right. No, I get it. Yep. Yeah.
So the solution was, okay, well, Devon, why don't we just start with what you want and throw some stuff out there and see what sticks to the wall. And it worked.
I'm just going to tie something back. By the way, it's such powerful advice. You mentioned Mark Victor Hansen.
Mm-hmm.
So he and his wife, Crystal, just wrote a book. I had them on my podcast.
Oh.
It's called Ask. And the power is that you had the clarity to ask for exactly what you needed.
Right.
And that's, I think, sometimes the problem in these, when you said there's always a solution, and sometimes a solution requires us to ask for help or ask someone who, and often it's not the what, it's the who that already, as you said, who already has done that, who's already given the result, who's already produced that I could reach out to. Man, super powerful. I don't know if I cut you off if you had another point there.
You're good. I think you're 1,000% correct. You totally didn't cut me off. I think that you added a lot of value into what I was saying, and correct. What I did is I had the courage to ask for exactly what I want. One of the little tricks of the trade that I do is I start with the ideal. Like, I have a genie. Genie's going to give me anything I want. What is the ideal, right? Just let's pretend that the world is actually our oyster, and let's just start from there. I want, X, Y, and Z to happen. Great. Let me just go ahead and ask for that. And the secret is that I'm unattached to the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the biggest things that I had to learn how to do, was to be able to ask, be unattached to the outcome, and be open to something better even happening for me or having it look the way it did.
So good. So good. Man, great advice. Devon, you've blessed our audience today in many ways. I really appreciate you being on the episode today. Guys, you can go to devonbrown.com if you want to learn more about Devon and just learn more about what he's doing. If you have a great event, you need an MC, he's the guy to reach out to when we get back to events. I mean, hopefully, fingers crossed, because we got events that we're planning for next year. So, Devon, again, thank you for being part of Connect, Share, Prosper. Really appreciate you being on this episode.
Oh, brother, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Guys, remember, every Monday, noon Central, on the Master Networks Facebook page, I come to you live with guests like Devon who share the ups, the downs, ins and outs of being a successful entrepreneur. So join us every Monday, noon Central, on the Master Networks page for Connect, Share, Prosper. See you then.
Stop hoping for your business to grow and start mastering the formula for success that every entrepreneur needs to grow their business. Join us for 5+1 Mastery, where every week we go in depth on how to grow your business the right way. Learn more at 5+1mastery.com.